Well, welcome very much, everyone, to a lovely webinar this evening. Thank you, Carl, for being so patient with me. My name, even though it says Ryan Suto, it's actually Lachlan Callahan. I'm another advisor here at Sharewise. Carl, I know we've been speaking in the backstage a little bit about more or less your company, and we'll get you to start to share your presentation as well. But can you tell us a little bit more about your ASX listed company towards a few of our new investors and what we have to look forward to in your presentation today?
Thanks, Lachlan. Certainly, thanks to everyone joining in online. And I'll get to the actual presentation if you don't mind. I just share my screen for everyone to see. Eclipse Metals, it's a Australian listed company, also listed on the Frankfurt Exchange under the code of 9 and on ASX under the code of EPM. And put the main focus today is going to be on the Evitut project. That's our flagship project in southwest Greenland. We do have projects in Northern Territory and also in Queensland. We're multi-commodity entity with projects in multi-commodity mineralisation within Australia and also in Greenland. But today I'll be focusing on the actual Evitut project. It's a bit of a mouthful. They also call it Evitut with a G. It's got a history of 130 years of mining, and it has been one of the best revenue generating rare mineral mine in Europe, in European mining history. So what we're trying to do, rejuvenate that, bring it back into fruition in light of what's happening in today's market economy when it comes to the this project holds a promise of being the largest rare earth carbonatite deposit within the European arena. And I'll get into the facts and figures in respect to the resource. This area, the hills that you see on the actual video, is area called Granadal. Surface is all mineralized with rare earth and also nepheline cyanide and carbonatite. And we've done drilling and trenching within that area and delineated from the small area that we've explored, delineated a resource from surface. There is infrastructure there on site, as you can see, with port facilities. There's dwellings which can be utilised for mining purpose, roads and infrastructure for the rare earth, and also for the cryolite deposit for within the pit environment. As you can see, most of the actual infrastructure is in very, very good condition. It is one of the warmest part of Greenland, in South Greenland. So we've got access, as you can see, it's access to port and a hop away from European territory or European zone. Company itself, EPM, we're a small company. We've been around for over a decade, listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. As mentioned earlier, we have assets in Australia and also in Greenland. It's a multi-commodity mineralisation that we're progressing. We do have a portfolio in Northern Territory, which is very highly prospective for uranium, and also manganese and vanadium within Australia. Portfolio is very diversified. Within Greenland, it gets quite confusing. There is the industrial mineral cryolite pit and also the rare earth. There's two aspects. So as we go through to the actual presentation, I just want to classify that the Greenland project is 2 in 1. There's 2 commercial aspects. There is the pit environment and also there's the rare earth carbonatite deposit at the back. They're both in the same tenement. So overall, yeah, there is it's a lot of projects for a small company that we hold. It's a diversified. We've been going for the last 10 years or so. Exploration and mining is an intricate dance between. It's a journey of persistence and precision, where the rarest gem emerges from the geological tapestry. And part of our job is to go out there and work on good projects that we believe will delineate into a mineable resource. In this particular game, especially in the specky market, out of 1,000, you probably get 100 of them. They'll turn into a target. Out of 100, 10 will turn into a resource. Out of the 10, one will be a mineable resource. What I mean by that, okay, having a resource is one thing, but also what's more important is the infrastructure, making sure environmental issues are all checked, and that you can actually take the resource out. And so we'll look at these things. As we move forward. The investment highlights in the company is there's a lot of potentials there. It's a world-class potential for rare earth and base metals in industrial minerals, particularly in the Everton project. It's close to infrastructure. It's a world-class critical mineral project, in particular in the neodymium, and it's one of the highest grade ND from surface within the first 10 meters that we've explored, and we hope obviously that'll be continuous at depth. So overall, there's I won't dwell too much into it. I'll get into the actual project potential. Why Greenland? Greenland, I mean, it's a lot of people probably don't know about Greenland. It is an emerging European territory that, in light of the geopolitics, the way it's shaping up, Europe is eventually will be dependent on Greenland, because if we look at it's a population of 56,000 people, favourable tax structure. There is, in particular with Everton projects, 130 years of mining history there. There is other smaller mines, but it's a small population. Not a lot has been done so far in comparison to Africa or other parts of the world or Australia. It is, as the ice is melting, more and more easy deposits are emerging, in particular their surface deposits, so not a lot of cost to sort of drill deep or mine from a deeper areas. As mentioned earlier, the two commercial prospects that we're following on the Everton project in this slide, as you can see, the yellow boundary is the tenement boundary, where the drilling and trenching that has occurred is in that small fraction of the hills that we saw in the video earlier. So we've explored probably about less than 5% of the total carbonatite deposit that we have, and within that smaller area that we have explored, we got 1.18 million tons of rare earth oxide that we've delineated. And most importantly, we've taken a cutoff of 2,000 ppm. You probably find a lot of companies or projects that go and work on 1,000 ppm or 1,500 ppm as rare earth oxide as being good results. We've got a cutoff of 2,000 ppm. So the grades that we're working on is 6.8%, and at that we've got the material content in tons of 8,000 tons, or just over 8,000 tons of rare earth oxide. So as mentioned again, we're looking more at a mineable resource rather than just adding numbers, trying to get the best numbers, the highest numbers. Yeah, exactly. So we feel quite confident from the actual surface that we should be able to scrape up within the small area. So if we look at the in situ value in that of 8,000 tons of rare earth oxide, I invite all the investors online to do their own research to see where the ton of rare earth oxide is worth, and times that by 8,000 tons, and compare that with our market cap of where we're at. So there's a huge gap between the share price and asset value overall, and that's one aspect of the actual tenement that we have. And then we shift to the Everton pit environment. Within the pit environment, as you can see, there's infrastructure there, power. We have a diesel power station there, also the potential for hydropower. So this particular mine can be one of the most compatible with ESG. Two things to be focused on. The mining footprint on the planet is nominal because this area has already been mined for 130 years. Yeah. Secondly, from an ESG perspective, we do have the hydropower facility available there. So whatever power you're consuming, you're consuming that power from hydropower. And that facility is there. Again, I invite everyone just to look on satellite images through Google Earth. Within Everton, you can actually see the hydropower facility there on site. It's a small hydropower. I can get a bit more into details on that later on. Again, the concept that we see within this particular project, in particular on the rare earth deposit, carbonatite deposit, as you can see from the slide here, the two little stars is the areas that we've actually scraped up and got the resource. And overall, the mineralization, there's a lot of iron, aluminium, manganese within the drill results at the surface, which is the impurities. Actually, back in 1940, they did put some drill holes there, diamond drill holes, which we're assessing at the moment. That was for iron ore. So they were exploring for iron ore. There is a lot of magnetite that you can actually see. The grade wasn't that great, but they never focused on the rare earth. And for us, we've gone out there, obviously looking at the rare earth, and how we see it, as you can see from this concept, the surface area has got a lot of iron, aluminium, and all that's creating this capping. The carbonatite itself, throughout the weathering and the pH level of the actual water is changing, as it goes to the water table through as the water is going through areas are precipitating, and the carbonates are going to the back fjord. So there's the water in here, the back of this particular hill. You'll find that the pH level of that is different, and also carbonates. There's a lot of carbonate growing within that area, and the main reason that's because the rare earths, the carbonatites precipitating, carbonates are going to the water at the back, and yet the rare earth is enriched more in the middle of the hill. If we follow that same concept and compare it with say Mount Wells initially from the surface they had great niobium. As they went closer to the water table, that's where the highly enriched rare earth was delineated. So we see the same sort of scenario in here. And most importantly, this coincides with the geophysical anomalies that we see perfectly, because when you look at the top of that hill, it's about 500 meters above sea level. Yeah. And you look at the geophysical anomaly, the geophysical anomalies are also telling us the actual mineralization is from 0 to 500 meters deep. So overall, as mentioned, we've only worked on the fraction of the actual carbonatite deposit to date. As you can see from the drilling and trenching results here, it's only a small area that we worked on. And within that area, there is overall target is massive. It's 3 kilometers by 800 meters, but we've only worked on a small area. Within that small area, we've got some amazing results. The ND results are one of the highest in a carbonatite deposit that you could say compare it with other global deposits. Yeah. The 2,200 tons within 8,000 tons. Overall, if we look at Mount Wells, it's within the mid-20s, and Mountain Pass in US, that's around about 17 or high 20s. In here, we're looking at mid to high 30s in PR and D levels. So overall, if we look at Linus's revenue, they're making 80% of their revenue from PR and D sales. Yeah. They're the most highly rare earths. I mean, a lot of people think rare earths are rare. It's just a name, just like noble gases on the periodic table. It doesn't mean they're noble. Rare earths are not rare. What's more important, what's driving the actual demand is the EV motors, which requires the magnets, more of the actual magnets. The rare earth magnets are probably the main drive behind, the criticality of how critical this is for the economy, for the EV revolution. in our project, we have very good rare earths, in particular for the magnetics. And that's where, if we were to work on a per ton basis, we will get the highest value, dollar value in today's world for this mineralization. And that's, again, important from a commercial perspective. And we've been focused on that. As mentioned, we only work on a fraction. Is the total carbon footprint. And overall, it's indicates 500 meters deep. So far, we've only gone up to about 9.5 meters. So you could do the maths yourself. It's several billions of dollars worth of carbonatite body there. And most importantly, it's good rare earths. Again, this cross section again highlights, shows that the blue area is the carbonatite footprint. The red is where we actually touched so far. So we've only scraped. Most importantly, I like to mention that all drill holes and all trench holes that we've got to date are mineralized. So every single drill hole ended up in mineralization, and it's continuous. We weren't able to drill deep enough because of the type of rig we had at that time. We need to mobilize a diamond rig to get some deeper holes to be able to really test at the bottom. And every trench hole was mineralized. Again, in here, there's a good a diagram which shows the potential. The geophysical, as we could see, it's a pipe-like structure that's indicating up to 500 meters deep. The pink is the nepheline cyanide. We're only working on the two little carbonatite areas, and within those two areas, we've got somewhere around about 175 to 245 million within the first 15 meters. So if we were to take that same target and continue that for 500 meters, that's over 2 billion tons of rare earth.
So Carl, on that, you did mention, and I've got to admit there are a few questions just that came through previously about it a little bit earlier on, about drilling deeper. Is there a timeline in mind of when that's going to happen? Because it does look like it's everywhere. It looks like you're in a good spot. You hit smack bang in the middle. The port is just down the hill. Literally, you could roll it down if you wish, but we want to know how deep it goes. What's the timeline of when we can find out those sort of things or hear about progress?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, I understand drilling is, especially diamond drilling, is not cheap. What we're trying to do, obviously, we do have some core, as mentioned earlier, the 1940s core. There's 6 diamond drill holes. They've gone up to about, the deepest is 200 meters deep. It was drilled for the purpose of delineating iron ore. Now, we've taken a sample of that. So I invite all our online investors to look into the announcement back in November 2021. We've taken a sample of that actual core, and we took it to ALS laboratories here. We assayed that core. It came out with highly enriched rare earths within that core. So we haven't systemically assayed all the core that we've got access to. It's simply because the core was sitting under military camp called Kangalusa. We didn't have access to the entire core. There's a lot of permitting issues and all of that, trying to shift that actual core from where it is. And we've got access to that, and that's what we're doing at the moment within the next 2 or 3 months. So we're trying to assay that core. There's 6 diamond drill holes. The results will be announced between now and end of this year sometimes. That will give us a good indication at depth, but obviously we do require further drill holes within the area. It's a massive area. Those 6 holes are still not enough. We still need to expand on that actual entire 1.8 kilometers. We need to do some more drilling.
Yep, absolutely. Perfect.
I hope that answers the questions.
Well, at least that one. There might be a few more come. But we'll continue on with your presentation, and I'll probably ask a few more at the end, just for those audience members that are asking a few questions. If you want to just put in the Q&A chat, we're happy to have a final 10 minutes where we'll ask those questions that you're really desiring to get on with. But for those new investors that are looking into Eclipse, especially, I think the biggest thing which makes it quite interesting is how close you are to the port. It's all good finding a deposit, but once you've got that deposit, actually making it a mineable resource, if it's commercially viable, I think it's been very interesting, or so far it's very, very interesting how you guys are set up and realistically where it could go. But I think we'll get into a bit more is what more are we expecting down the line? That's all.
Yes, certainly. I think that's a very important point. As I mentioned earlier, from 100% to a target, which we've got a target, we've got a resource, but most importantly, what we've got is a mineable resource. For the first, it starts from 0 meters.
Yep.
It's on top of the hill, so you can use the gravity to your advantage as you're tracking it down. So you may not even need, tracking it down, you may be able to put conveyor belts from where the actual mineralization is. It's roughly about 2.5 kilometers. So you possibly could put that on conveyor belt straight to the port where the water is. So there's a possibility on that, but even tracking it down, you have the gravity to your advantage from the top of the hill going downhill, empty trucks going up and full trucks going down. We believe it's a mineable resource, simply because, as you mentioned, infrastructure is the most important part in Greenland. A lot of good projects there, but they're in a difficult position where you have to go 10, 20 kilometers, cut the roads and trucks and etc. And Greenland, as much as people say it, Greenland itself is one giant granite rock. It's big, lumpy. That's one of the reasons Greenland have got limited international airports, because it's difficult for them to get a massive runways. They have to shift complete big entire granite hills, and the cost on that is extremely expensive. In our case, we checked most of those boxes. You can easily transport that into the sea. And most importantly, you've got to have the mineralization. We do have that. It's from the surface and very easily accessible. And another important part, it is globally competitive in PR&D. It's one of the best PR&D results out there. So I challenge everyone to go and have a look at it, compare our results. Results speak for itself. Compare our results with Martwell's, Hastings, Mountain Pass. These are all billions and billions of dollars worth of deposits. And if we compare it, we beat. In PR&D, the actual results come up. And most importantly, this is still from the weathered zone within the first 10 meters. And we expect these results to get even better as we go deeper. Most importantly, we have a good relationship there in Greenland. As mentioned, Greenland is a population of 56,000 people. So if you make enemies, that's a big chunk of the population. So, but in our case, we've worked very closely with the right people. We've got a good relationship, and we're building on that. And also, we're aware of the ESG aspects. And as mentioned earlier, this project ticks the box for minimizing the mining footprint on the planet. We're working in an area that's already been mined for the last 130 years. So the waters, the ships going up and down. This area, the previous Carlite mine, the product was shipped to Denmark and also US constantly. I mean, you can see some of the images, the old images is still online. There's a lot of history. There's a military camp. At one stage, they were guarding this particular project from the German during World War II. And it has proven itself as being a supplier of a rare mineral called cryolite, the one and only mine in the world. Secondly, it has proven itself that it was a strategic project during World War II, to the extent that it helped allies with the production of aluminium to manufacture lighter aeroplanes, so they can reach Europe with a single fuel tank. And most importantly, in today's world, as geopolitics is evolving, we see the rejuvenating this particular project and the project proving itself to do the same as it has done before for Europe and provide the rare critical minerals that's highly demanded in the current market economy. What we've got, obviously, we've been working throughout the last 3 years on the actual project. So a lot of people probably don't realize our share price doesn't reflect the success that we've got on the actual project. We've been focused on developing the project rather than focused on improving just the share price. As mentioned, a lot of the projects generally, they take a number of years to bring it into a target, and then subsequent a number of years to get a resource, subsequent a long time to get it into a mineable resource. And for us, we've since acquisition, the rare earth, we've delineated, and then subsequent we've delineated a target last year, and earlier this year, we got a resource. We hope to expand on that resource within the next 3 to 6 months. That's again, and also we hope to comply with additional SIA and EIA requirements and get our mining license hopefully by the end of this year. And also, we would like to get the actual quartz body that we have. There is 5.8 million tons of quartz body within the pit environment. There's a lot of studies being done on that actual quartz body. There's a lot of drilling in that actual quartz body. So if you don't mind, I'll just jump into this diagram. This is the actual pit environment. As we can see, there's a lot of assay results. This is the drilling from the historical drilling. There is the zinc, the cryolite and fluorite, and below the cryolite and fluorite is zinc iron body. It's like a sandwich. And then below that, it's a massive 5.8 million tons of high purity quartz. Quartz itself is very important in today's world, in particular high purity quartz, 99.9% or so. We have done testing on this quartz body. It can easily be beneficiated to 99.9%. The deposit that we have at the moment within this, there's 99.7%. And by a simple acid wash, you can bring that up to 99.9%, which is ideal for silica wafers and most of these electronic gadgets that they make as in the circuit boards. High purity quartz, if anyone does a bit of research, is extremely hard to find. China's desperate for that to the extent they're dredging seas trying to find high purity quartz. And here we've got a massive body contained in a small area. Again, ideal for so as mentioned, the different domain, there's a lot of drilling done in this particular domains, a lot of data there. We've classified as a target. It can easily be classified into a resource if need be. There's 5.8 million tons of the quartz body. There's the zinc domains below that. So everything as you go down will be mineable. It's got some use. Cryolite itself, I invite all the viewers to do a simple Google search, cryolite for sale, so you can see the value of cryolite. People do buy cryolite as a gem, just like diamond. It's a rare mineral. It's got a tangible value to it. People do sell it and buy it on the market. We've got some here in the office that are pure white, and a lot of people, some of our shareholders requested, for a piece for them to polish and wear it as jewelry. So it has got a tangible value. We don't have a lot of it. There's about 100,000 tons that we've got within the pit environment. That's not enough for us to sign up a offtake agreement with a aluminium processor, because we can't offer continuous supply for 10 years or so. We only have about 100,000 tons. If we could supply for 10 years or more, we do have a lot of demand for cryolite still. At the moment, cryolite is being used as a synthetic product, manufactured in India and China. But most importantly, within the pit, there's the value is in the actual quartz, the high purity quartz. I'll get a bit more onto it. Time is the essence, so I'm running a little bit on time. I'd like to take some questions also. The criticality of critical needs to be really understood. Europe is pretty much desperate for critical minerals, and most importantly, a lot of projects within the European zone. It's got a lot of challenges, again, either transportation or environmental issues. Some are basically in little towns, populated towns, and etc. So, but in our project, we believe we've ticked most of those boxes. We are members of European Raw Material Alliance Group, and we're collaborating very closely with the European Commission at the moment to comply for the critical raw material, in line with Critical Raw Material Act that's just been accepted in the European Commission on the 23rd of May. And we're in the process of applying for a strategic project classification. So we're undergoing that at the moment also. So that'll be news flow coming up. We hope to get closer collaboration from the European Commission on this particular project to help us out, bring it to fruition. Again, critical minerals, neodymium is very, very important. As mentioned before, it's used in a variety of different sort of applications, in particularly in defense, in guided missiles. When we look at actual rare earth elements, most importantly for us, it's important what are the elements. We need to be mindful that we have more of the PR, TB, SM, DY, the ones that are really highly demanded for the high-tech industry. So yeah, I'll wrap it up with actual presentation. I won't get too much into the Australian projects because of time. We do have the uranium portfolio. We do have a high-grade manganese project in Australia.
Yep.
And we do have a copper application in the Northern Territory.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Carl, I'll say well presented. Great job, especially with your diagrams and showing us visually how much quartz in the pit. That's really helpful for a lot of those new investors that are looking at your company for the first time. A lot of the questions that did come through, I think you touched on it briefly, but a lot of the questions that came through earlier were to do with funding. That was a major concern. So they talked about funding. They're asking how we're going with funding, and you spoke about it a little bit, but can you tell us a little bit more detail about this strategic opportunity with working with the European Commission?
Yeah, look, obviously the EU is, for the last couple of years, they've been determined trying to secure supplies within the European zone for the benefit of Europe. As we all know, China has got a monopoly when it comes to the critical minerals arena. With Europe, in order for them to industrialize, and I strongly believe that that's the answer for them to move forward and start bringing in manufacturing things. They need the critical raw materials, and they need these metals. They need these raw materials. To do that, I mean, we've got to look. This, as mentioned, it's throughout the tapestry of the world. There's only a few projects that are available for the benefit of Europe. Australia's too far. And secondly, Africa is becoming challenging. Within Europe itself, it's highly populated. There's a lot of environmental issues, and regulatory framework is very complex when it comes to opening mines. Ukraine, obviously, that's been isolated. Russia's been isolated. Greenland stands out. It is important for Europe to do something. Having said that, we're a small company. We don't understand how exactly these big organizations, the European Commission, or how they operate and how they work. We're still learning our way. They're new to this arena, so we dealing with the big giants like that. We believe, obviously, we've got an opportunity to collaborate, and we provide the information required. We have the database, we have the knowledge, and we're putting it out there. As I said, first in, best dressed. We would like to deliver value for our shareholders. This project is too big just for a small company from WA. My important thing is it's an opportunity, it's a commercial opportunity for our investors to materialize on, and also the new ones to come in and join the registry and help out One of the biggest challenges for us at the moment is our market cap. Our market cap has gone down from, we don't understand exactly why it's happened, but from 100+ million down to, and there's no material reason why it should go down, why it should have gone down in such way. We've been more project focused, and that's probably the downside. We haven't really gone out there. We don't have a lot of strong traders on the registry. Most of the major shareholders, they're not bothered about selling at these. They understand what they've invested in is much bigger than what the share price is today. So there's not a lot of volume that's being sold, yet the stock's gone down. So there's a massive gap between the share price and the asset value. In order for us to have that negotiation power or the posture to be able to deal with some of those big giants, it's very difficult from a small market cap perspective. So we're hoping we'll somehow balance all that as we move forward in the next 3 to 6 months, get a better market capitalization, preserve the existing shareholders' value, and also deliver something big, a bigger outcome through some of this trajectory that's been developing in the critical raw material sector, particularly in Europe. So I think it's great times, for us. We're in very good position as a company to go out there and move forward. Obviously, the next few months will be crucial for us, and it's important for us to partner with the right people and make sure we're moving without diluting the company. I mean, funding has been one of the biggest questions, as you mentioned. Yes, funding is important for a company like us, but at the same time, we want to make sure that it's undiluted fund if we can, or it's done in a way that it's in line with the current shareholders who've been in there for 5-10 years with us.
Yep.
We don't want to keep on diluting them. So our nature, if we look at the last 10 years, how the company's been operating, we have been able to survive with a low amount of cash. The board and management is very savvy how we deal with things. We try to, look, with this 6 diamond drill holes that's coming up, that's got millions of dollars worth of value. If we were to go and put those 6 diamond drill holes, it would be several millions of dollars. But yet we've been able to access that with nominal costs, and yet we're hoping to deliver the same sort of results as we would from fresh holes. Yes, look, exploration is not cheap, and particularly in Greenland. It is a European territory. Funding will be required, but we hope the European Raw Material Alliance groups and the European Commission would move swiftly with us and help us out during 2025.
Absolutely, absolutely. Have you been actively over the last couple of months reaching out to try and get them across the line, or what's the sort of progress with working with them?
Europeans, as you probably know, they're different culture to how we operate. The derivative market is probably very rich in Canada and Australia in small caps. Europeans are not the sort of traders like we have in Australia who will come in and buy the stock for a month or so. They treat this whole thing more like a real estate investment. So we have taken some of the guys last year to the actual project site. There's a video on the YouTube, which some of the German investors, there's been a lot of good articles, positive articles in the German media, and particularly in the business, in the commercial sector. And the European Raw Material Alliance, the way they've been moving, we sort of feel as though it's been very slow because they've had the last 2 or 3 years, they have to set themselves up. But there has been some crucial milestone. I mean, in July last year, we took a team of German investors to have a look at the project. In August last year, the German Chancellor went in and signed a memorandum of understanding with the Greenland government. Subsequent, the EU Commission in November went and set up MOUs with Greenland government. And also in January, there was an office set up by the EU Commission in Nuuk. And then subsequent in May this year, the Critical Raw Material Alliance Act was submitted to the European Commission and accepted by the European Commission. So there has been progress every 3 or 4 months, but more in the sense of obviously them lining themselves up from a bureaucratic and perspective. As being a smaller company, we see success comes before work in a dictionary. We need to go out there and explore. We need to go out there and drill and compile all the data and bring it all into have the people on site, and that's the expensive part. So they haven't been able to address that for us, but yes, they have addressed a few of the other points, which is primarily in the regulatory framework. They've firmed it up.
Yep. Well, that probably leads into a few of the other questions that we have, which is, what's the timeline like for the next 12 months? What are we looking at in progression, and realistically, I've got a question here that says, what's the time frame to actually get a mining license in Greenland? They're big targets. They are big targets, and there's got to be a lot of drilling to be done in between there. But realistically, what are we looking for in the next quarter and the quarter into next year? What is the ideal timeline to really see, well, good results, and which we have been seeing, but this share price to really get to where it should be back to again? What's the timeline?
That's right. The next 12 months, the expectation is obviously, as mentioned, we've got this drill core. We want to make sure we assess that and expand on that actual mineral resource. Mining license is important. Particularly, we've got the quartz. We need to focus a little bit more on the quartz, as much as the market really wants to hear the rare earth story, because it's more sexy in the current market environment. Yeah. But they haven't really understood the quartz. The high purity quartz is highly demanded. So a bit of research into that, people find out that there is real value in that we could generate offtake agreements and actually have a saleable product from this particular project. And so we're doing both the rare earth. We've got 6 diamond drill cores, and also we're working on delineating a mineral resource that we could confidently in today's market go out there and enter into offtake agreements. Mining has changed since 2012. Since 2012 codes have come in. Prior to that, obviously, we didn't need to worry about the resource as much. In today's world, although we have all the data, we have all the drilling results and all that, but it was done pre-2012. It needs to be compiled in line with 2012 dual compliance. So the data is old, back from the 80s and 90s and 60s and 50s, but we need to somehow convert that and make sure it complies with the 2012 dual compliance. So we tick that box, and move forward with the numbers that we have within the actual body. So that's planned in the next 3 months, 3 to 4 months. We hope to bring those results into fruition and build up on the database. The Mining Act has changed in January this year, which is in our benefit. We submitted our mining or progress towards mining application a couple of years ago. That was announced with the SIA and EIA submitted, and we did a lot of work on the social and environmental aspects of it, and we've still been doing that throughout the last 6 months. But Greenland changed the Mining Act in January, which was good. Now what they're doing is telling us, okay, you can progress on the mining application, get your mining license, and then finish off with the SIA and EIA. But we've done 2 years worth of work. We're sort of like, well, hang on, we don't want to waste the 2 years worth of work that we've already done. We don't want to comply with the new act and then follow through with the SIA and EIA. We should be getting our answer for the SIA and EIA immediately now, and then subsequent move towards a mining license pretty pronto. So I don't see any challenges. I mean, mining license, yes, look, it's an instrument that but really progress, we can mine if we wanted to. The Greenland government is not objecting to us mining or causing any hurdles. It is a regulatory framework. We need to tick all those boxes in line with the act that's been passed. And one of the thing that really confused us was them changing, which has simplified it. But we started on the mining license a couple of years ago. We've got SIA and EIA, most of the work already done. We've done the water sampling. We've done a lot of other bits and pieces towards that. So we hope to get that within the next 6 months. We hope to finalize on that. And subsequent to that, also, we like to see the European EU Commission, we would like to see them firming up with the funding that they've got available to support the project at a bigger scale. When I say a bigger scale, they need to commit somewhere between 50 to $100 million immediately within 2025 for us to progress on the next stage.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so at the moment with your funding, and this is the last of those questions I were emailed in beforehand, what is the burn rate at the moment, and do we have enough funding for ourselves to get us into the 2025 mark?
Yeah, good question. We did announce last October $2.3 million. It's an instrument that we've got with Pioneer Resources out of US. And we've only gone through the first stage of that, which was around about $800,000. We've got another 1.5 available to us. We've got a lot of guys that are offering, $200,000, $300,000 or $500,000 if we wanted to raise. But at these current prices, it's very, very low, and there's hardly any volume available. If someone was to go out there, I challenge them to go out there if they can find $200,000 worth of stock at below, 200% the current market. I don't think they can. I'll average them down. I'll give them some of my stock, but it's just not possible for anyone to take substantial amount of stock off the market. Yep. And we see that there's a trajectory there. We don't exactly understand why that trajectory is there, but we also look. There's a lot of offers from bigger boys out of the US and others to take this project on. They won this project. We had, when our market cap was around about 140 or so back in 2021 or late 2021, we had offers from JV partners for somewhere around $50-60 million for a percentage of the actual project, where in today's world, they wouldn't entertain those offers, or it'd be more, around about the $10-15 million because of our market cap. They judge you what your projects are worth based on what your market cap is, and we don't see that. We don't see that for the benefit of our shareholders. We don't see that.
Yeah.
So we strongly believe there's a lot more value for traders to get in. We'll support, obviously, at the board level. We'll be supporting and defending the price to be somewhere at least close to what it is. As mentioned, the resource itself, there's about 8,000 tons of rare earth oxide within 0 to 10 meters. If we just work on the NPV or the in-situ value of that amount, that's somewhere around about, $250-300 million just in that small amount. And yet our market cap, but bear in mind, we do have the uranium project, we have the manganese projects in Australia. So there's a lot of good assets in there where we haven't been given the value. Our shareholders, I think, deserve far better than what they've been given at the moment by the market.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, what we'll do is we'll have your final comments then, Carl, and if any other questions want to pop up or any other investors want to ask a question before we end. But for your final remarks, Carl, realistically, it sounds like from what you're saying, you feel like you're extremely undervalued, and you can see the light coming through the other side. What is your comments towards the investors and our new investors listening today for your stock?
Well, look, it's been a pleasure to present, and thanks to all the participants online. It's a great opportunity to get on the registry. Eclipse is not an individual person. We've got more than 2,000 shareholders on the registry, and it's about everyone, the little guys and the big guys. And whoever takes a position at the moment, I don't think they can go wrong at these sort of prices where they are. So the base level, right at the bottom. If you compare it with other rare earth entities and compare the project versus project, the project does stack up. It's a mineable resource of rare earths in a strategic location in the world, and these opportunities are very, very rare, extremely rare. So all I can say is be sure to have your telescope ready and have EPM on your watch list. And an eclipse happens once in a in a blue moon. So yeah, we're one of those. I think, you know, we hope to you know, deliver towards the end of this year, you know, some decent value to all the people on the registry.
Absolutely. I like it. I like it. We'll leave it on that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone once again for attending another Sharewise webinar. I think Carl will have to do this later again down the track. It's been very, very insightful.
Happy to do that
for a few people. But
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Apart from that, we'll see you next time. Thank you very much all.
Thank you.